Welcome to Safe Passages. I'm your host, Tara Jabbari. Today I have a very good friend of mine, Jesús Dugarte, a senior software engineer originally from Venezuela, based in Canada, but lives as a nomad for the last several years. With over 30 years of experience in software industry and associated technologies, he knows a lot about things from HTML, Ruby and Rails, JavaScript, testing, debugging, and he also, and this is very important and why he's here, a proven track record as a strong communicator to clearly articulate technical concepts to both technical and non-technical audiences. Welcome, Jesús.
Hi, Tara. Thank you.
Full disclosure, we've been speaking and catching up for the last 40 minutes before we started recording.
There's a lot to say. There's a lot to catch up on.
Yeah. So first, for people to know, we met because we were traveling for 4 months across Africa in 2023.
Fantastic 4 months. Yes.
Yeah. And so you speak Spanish, French, and English, and we started in Senegal. And my resume says I somewhat know French, Spanish. And we really learned. We all lie in our resumes.
It was no, it was a challenge. That's far from the accent that I learned or speak, and it was a challenge to speak, but we managed to, right?
Yeah.
Maybe your Spanish is
Yeah.
at the level of my German now because I'm studying German. So
Yeah, you're now in Germany. I am currently in the US in Texas, but anyway, okay, I started Safe Passages because I knew that people keep saying that they want to travel more, but very few people actually do that, right? Or, really go for what they really wanted to do and travel. The way that they really keep envisioning it. Then they're like, I really want to go to Japan. And then they settle to go to Wisconsin. No offense to Wisconsin, but
maybe
it's
they
not
have very
Japan.
good sushi restaurant there. Yes.
Or the other big thing is as technology grows in our everyday lives, it feels overwhelming to keep up to date of should I use, for instance, when our phones had the thumbprint and then it was the facial recognition to open up your phone and all that stuff. It was interesting as some people who worked in cybersecurity and things like that, they're like, don't do the facial recognition, or this or that. I had some people who worked in that, and they're like, it's not really that smart because the law doesn't protect you, or, don't be lazy, just use the passcode, all that stuff. And then many other people don't. And so I got to learn a little bit more. Safe Passages allows me to stay up to date. It forces me to stay up to date and educate myself and become literate in technology. But I also wanted to share that with people for trusted sources. So since you work in this kind of, a lot of it is all connected, I wanted to talk to you about it and share it with people as well, as much as you can. And also, the travel element definitely fits in that because you travel as not as a living, but that's your thing. You're not you're location independent, as some of us like to say.
I usually say that I'm a nomad, and that is just a fancy way of saying I'm homeless.
That's another way to say it. Yeah. So first, could you kind of share how you got first? Actually, I have a really stupid question. Can you explain, in simple terms, the main definitions of these things? What is a software engineer, or what is the definitions like HTML, things like that people should be aware of that they probably don't, or that you feel like that is not the definition of that.
Yeah, the thing is that IT has grown so much. When I started studying this, it was a very small space. You could do most of it, right? From your computer, from your education that you had, something like that. And it has grown so much that there are nowadays I can barely operate a computer, as you could say. I haven't opened a computer in decades, nor want to anymore. So hardware is a complete other question. And then whatever we did in security and software just became a whole industry that I have no idea how it works. And then you have connectivity, and then you have AI nowadays. It's just this huge domain that's not grown as technology has grown. So I'm really in a very, very small niche, you could say, because I'm working in software, which is just writing stuff to solve a problem, right? In a language that the computer can understand, so it can do what it does better for us, which is to remember, to calculate better, to calculate faster, and and to give us analytical tools that we might just take longer if we just do it manually, right? And so I write that software, but then inside the world of software, then again, there's a long list of smaller domains or in part domains. So I used to work in desktop development, which is the software that you use in your computer, not connected, not necessarily connected to the internet. It's software that you have there. Like the browser is a software that is in your computer and through which you go then to the internet. And eventually I moved to the web, which is to make, I tell people, it's like when I say that, people usually tell me, it's like, oh, can you design me a website? It's like, no, that's not what I do.
Yeah.
I actually do what's behind the website, right? Someone designs that, someone puts it up there. So that's the old technology infrastructure. Someone does the marketing for all of that. I just do the code that is behind that, and it gives the information and the processes that you need to see, right? So
Yeah.
that's what we do. It's always also use the metaphor of we are writers. If you sit in a place and try to look what's going on around you, like in a restaurant, for instance, and you see the people working and the waitress and the manager, and then if you get to see the cook, etc., you in time you will be able to describe everything that is going there. And then if you do, then you can sit down and write it. This is what all of this happened. And then if you're a little bit of training in management or logistic or whatever, you could then say write down how that work would work best. What would be the best solution for to do this and that? We could all do that with enough time and just a observation. We could all do that. We do that with an artificial language. That's the difference. So
Mm.
we are writers in a way, right? We're not
Yeah.
writing fiction, but we are writing a way of describing that scenario in virtual terms, which is the software, and to build a solution for to make it that just faster or more error proof or just remember longer, etc. That's what we do.
Nice.
Then
All right.
it's
That's
called
a good.
engineering, and that's a topic to discuss a lot, whether it's an engineer
Yeah.
or not. And we call engineers because we supposedly use engineering tools to describe, to execute, to plan, etc. Right? So, but it's a big discussion still, whether it's engineer or not.
And how did you get started into like this field?
I actually love that story because my father bought programmable calculator. We're talking about a device like this big that only had like a bunch of the keyboard and two lines of a screen, and with no graphics whatsoever, it's just letters. And I don't remember, I was starting high school probably, so I was maybe around 12, 14, somewhere in between. My father would that for to work and to use it for work. He had to study assembly. He used did some programming and stuff, but it was just something very very specific for what it is, an agricultural engineer. So he never used it. When I saw what it came, I just took it and I started just reading the manual that came with it, with whatever English I had and a lot of dictionary, and I was fascinated by it. But it, I could just do two lines, calculate some things,
Yeah.
and maybe there was a little bit of a game that came with the manuals that I could implement, and I just start going with it. it was a toy, and it became my toy of preference. So I'm 12. I left, cars and, and models and all of that we do, and it just became that, my toy. I kept doing it all through high school, then eventually moved to another programmable calculator, which was bigger, and then to a computer. And then when I had to go to university, all through high school, I'm trying to think what I want to do, and I have no clue. I felt useless in a way because I don't know what I want to do to dedicate my time to, right? In Venezuela, at that time at least, you had to apply and to two or three things. You fill out a form saying these are three things that I want to
Okay.
do, and then you wait, and the wait can be long. So my father, who was a teacher in a private institution, he said, "Why don't you start here? I can find a scholarship. It was like an expensive if to do, so we needed that, and I can find a scholarship because I'm a teacher, maybe, and you can do some subjects there, and then when you enter in the public university, which was free, you can then do the equivalences and go there." I was like, "Yeah, okay, sounds good." I mean, there's no point of me fighting for
Yeah.
any attendance there. It's like just all right. And it's like,
Yeah.
what are the options? Like, well, there is IT or programming something it was called. It was very rudimentary at the time, and we're talking 1987, 88. And honestly, like, all right, there is that. I've been playing with some programming, so probably I can do that. So I started, and after being a regular to mediocre student when I was in high school, it's just I became a very good at what was asked of me during university, and it was only after the first semester that I actually had the thought, wait, people pay for this. I can actually make gain a salary out of this. This is not anymore
Hmm.
a toy. It's like, and I was it was it opened a whole new world. It's like, yes, this is what I want to do. So computer science and programming and software was the best decision that I never took. Not even when my dad took it.
Nice.
It's like it just spurned on me, the whole thing. And and it became really a passion. I'm 53 years old. I've been doing this for 34 years professionally, plus 5 more years, 3 years university, and maybe 4 or 5 years in high school. So I've been doing this over most of my life. And still, there are kids that talk to me nowadays. It's like, how did you keep the excitement out about, I don't know, but the structure in JavaScript or whatever is in Elixir or something? It's like, it's a toy. They pay me to play. It's still a game for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. So it's always been sort of like you found the what is it there the expression? It's like if you feel like you're going to play or something, like find a work that doesn't feel like work,
And
then
then
you never
you'll
work a
never
day,
have to work, something like that. Yes.
something like that. Like never work a day in a life in
And
your
I really
life.
feel very, very fortunate for this because most people
Yeah.
say follow your passion, and passion can be very expensive or not lucrative at all, or
Right.
troublesome at some points, right? So
Yeah.
telling people to follow the passion is lifts a
It's,
whole chunk of things that you need to do, right? You need to do your homework. You need to eat your vegetables. So I feel extremely fortunate that I managed to do that, and I still do that because it allowed me to the vegetables are chocolate for me. Right? I do eat my
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
vegetables every day. Well, I do. I still sit 8 hours a day, and I still do my job, and I still have to, the discipline and head call that and all that. But still feels like I'm toying, right? So I don't think I can be an example of that. It's just incredibly struck a luck that I had.
Oh, that's so. I'm glad for you and jealous. um, I always wanted to be like a filmmaker, a storyteller. And my parents are like, that's great. Very, 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 very few can make an actual living and be successful in that. What are and what does success mean? A, that people actually see your work, and B, that you make a living out of it, like like you made money out of it. Um, so you have to have several backup plans or be realistic about it. Not necessarily to give up on it, but you know. other things that you have to be able to do. So it's very, very true. Or like if a person wanted to, or my mother was a pianist and she wanted to be a concert classical pianist, and they're like, that's very, very difficult. You have to practice, but also many of them teach. Many of them do soundtracks and musical score, like other things. They're not just in concerts, right? Live concerts. They have to do something to make it
The
a
solo
livable
career, the
wage,
performing career is extremely hard, extremely difficult. Yes,
right?
I studied music since I was about
Usually in
5
the
years old.
arts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Um,
that meant years in conservatory of music, 5 years in orchestra, 6 years of violin, and that meant a lot. I still think of me at least as a trained musician. Um, I don't call myself a musician because most of my long-lasting friends are musicians. They make a living out of that, and I don't feel like we're. I shouldn't say that because they're actually eat out of that. But I do consider myself a trained
yeah,
musician. I still play some instruments, and I understand
trained music.
the theory of music, and that I actually managed to pour that into software because the whole aesthetics of it and the teamwork that you learn in an orchestra, for example, you have 110 people, and one of them make a mistake, and the whole team fail. So and it's in real time.
Hmm.
You can fail at a project and just have a deadline just delayed and stuff like that. You can't do it in a concert. The thing
Yeah,
didn't work
they're all
10 seconds ago and is ruined. So that level of demanding and of teamwork is the best that I've had. And I took a lot from there, the way that we should work
yeah.
in team. We are lucky that we have then leeway, extra time.
The other part of Safe Passages is the travel element. How did you get into first, like, when did you start really traveling and realizing like this is something I really like to do and that kind of like the travel bug, as they say?
Um, Both my parents had a bit of that. We travel quite a lot in inside of country, and then they were lucky enough to um, have work trips or even a study outside of the country through scholarships. Again, I come from a very humble family. It's a very humble origins. It's, my parents did the best that they could, and it was a lot considering the country that we lived in. So having access to a university and having health and having not a broken family and all of that meant a lot in that environment that we were. So
Hmm.
it's a privilege. And so they did have that. So they did as much as they could with the resources and the things that we had. It also helped us that we lived in a city. It was only the four of us, and then my little brother who was born later. So it was only the 4 or 5 of us, and we had to move either 4 hours in one direction or like 8 hours in the other direction to meet our actual families. And so there was no one else in that city. So visit the family meant get in a car and spending days outside. And that
Yeah.
became a thing. I still enjoy very much having a road trip with my dad because it's just talking nonstop and I learn so much. And there are so many stories that he shared about the family and the past and what he did and what they didn't do and etc. So it was a fascinating traveling became that the thing that you do out there, but the thing that you do with the people that you go as well. So so the dog is still there, of course. Uh, then again, traveling outside of Venezuela was very difficult. We didn't have the means to do that, and then eventually became more and more difficult for political reasons and geopolitical reasons.
Mm.
That the passport was at some point pretty useless. We couldn't go
Yeah.
to many places. And as I started adult life and professional life, and it became increasingly difficult, especially economically. I did travel some, safe and did what I could, and I managed to travel quite a bit for the context where the average Venezuela. And eventually, when I moved to Canada, um, it
Hmm.
became a lot easier to get a life style, and you gain a quality of life that allows you to do some more of this.
Not.
Then I increased more and more travel, and in the year 2017. I had spent a few months. I needed to get away from the city or Montreal. Things were going on. It's like I might take some time out and then just go. But still working. I had the chance of
Right.
work remotely. Have been working remotely already for 2 years. So it's like I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna visit some friends. I'm gonna meet a couple of cities that I don't know in Canada. So I started traveling. And after a few months of that, maybe it was like 5, 6 months. I was like, this works. I could maybe do this. So I started trying to find out more information about that. Who is doing that? Is there people doing that? Probably. And then in 2019, I started working for a company in the United States. I did the onboarding there, and I met this woman there, and she had just very young, and she had been living. She had lived in 30 countries in the last 3 years.
Oh,
She
wow.
told me it's like I'm a nomad. It's like what? Okay, you need to tell me about this. So we went for a beer to tell me everything and just explain a little bit about her life, what she did, how she did it. I was like, this is what I've been looking for. I want to be you.
Mm.
That's the say, and it was a kind of a revelation because she was younger, she was but myself, professional or salary level. So there was a lot of things that were similar. I was like, I can do it then. What do I
Mm-hmm.
have to do? That was 2019. 2020. It happened. And then things had to be delayed, et cetera, et cetera. So finally, it was a big decision. I remember
Yeah.
now I look back, it was like it wasn't that difficult. But at the moment, there was an image that really struck me. Is like I'm not going to have a postal code. I don't want to have an address. I don't want to have a key. Those two images, I'm not going to have an address or a key, really freaked me out. And it's like but then again, it's like I I did paragliding for a couple of years, and it
Mm-hmm.
also changed my life in many different ways. And one of the things that I remember is like I'm of course I'm very scared of doing what I was supposed to do with flying, but flying had been the biggest dream that I've had in my life. So nothing
Mm-hmm.
was more important to me, and I forgotten about that dream. So I was like 27, 28. I found out about paragliding and it was possible to do it, so I started doing it. And I remember every moment that I took off, it was that drawing a line on the ground and saying, beyond that line is what I want the most in life and what scares me the most right here when I'm the hill. And giving that step forward and crossing the line is such a powerful, empowering feeling. So, like, you can not beat something outside of you. You beat yourself. You beat the person that you were 10 minutes ago, or yesterday, or a year ago. You became somewhat better by that step forward. And that
Mm.
thing becomes addictive. Then I realized that fear could drive me to do things, and the sensation of doing that step forward made me so much better, even with the
Mm.
fear, right? So I started doing more and more things. Eventually, I had an accident and broke half of my body, including my spine, and then I couldn't do anything for about a year,
For
recovering
another
for that.
story.
And a year later, I thought, okay, I survived. I should have died in that accident, but I survived. What do I do now? The biggest dream of my life was to fly. Okay, done. What was the next dream? To leave my country, to go abroad and to see the work. So I started working. 5 years later, I arrived to Canada. So all of that is connected. At the
Mm-hmm.
moment that I'm seeing that image of I'm not going to have an address and I'm not going to have a key, that same sensation of fear and adrenaline and excitement comes up. All right, this is very scary, but I'm going to do it because this is what I want. I want this
Yeah.
sensation of absolute fear and pushing forward. So of course I did it. I started preparing the whole thing, and I sold, gave away or threw away everything that I had except the things that were on the walls or mementos
Mm-hmm.
from my life and etc. And a couple of hard drives and stuff like that. I put all that in a very small storage because there wasn't a lot to keep in any way. And I left. I
Yeah.
just bought a ticket. It was 3 flights, 24 hours of flight to Cape Town. So,
Uh-huh.
so
That was
I,
the
I
first
went
one.
with her more year. I just landed in Cape Town. I was like, all right, my luggage is in a luggage, 20 kilos of luggage. Actually, when I left Montreal, it was 16.9 kilos. That's all of my life was in 16 point. I'm still in 20. I gained like 6 pounds in the in the past. And I just left. I now look back as like some of those decisions you didn't really believe that you did, but it's like I can totally believe it, and I realize in time that nowadays it's actually very easy through technology
Hmm.
to live like that. I
Yep.
arrived to a city, to a new country, a new city, and I can navigate the whole thing. Most of that is just the immediate and urgent. I can navigate it. I have apps to do shopping and groceries and handle my transport and handle the places where I'm going to live or work. Or I have apps to check times with everyone that I'm working with or traveling around with. There are groups and chats and etc. with resources to and tips and people that are constantly there with you. They're traveling away with you. All the people that you meet in the way, which is one of the greatest things that I didn't know was going to happen. The people that I met in traveling, like you,
Yeah.
the things that happened to us, the things that we saw. Remember, all of that
Yeah.
was it really creates a bond. It really changes life. Now, what I was not expecting that. When I went out of motel, I was 50, 51, and I thought, yeah, I pretty much know who I am. It's like this travel is going to be just excitement. No, it's like, oh no, there's a whole new me that came out of that,
Hmm.
and the people that travel with you make that an incredible
Yeah.
experience. I mean, being in Kyoto or Cape Town or Lisbon, that was fantastic. But being in Cape Town with you, being in Lisbon with Dwayne, being in in Kyoto
Right.
with Heather, that made the whole experience completely different, right? And so the people, again, to the stories of my dad and doing the travels and the family just going away, the people. It's always about the people. Who you do with
Yeah.
the things are become more important than what you do.
That's very true because a lot of people, especially when we would travel with a group, so whether it's like a company like Remote Year or I think it's like Geo Adventures, where, yeah, you can travel on your own for cheaper, but they're like, well, why do you go with a group of strangers? You're like, because you never know who you're going to meet. There's a little bit of a safety element to it. They have a team there and all that stuff, and things are taken care of for you. You don't have to keep looking for hotels or places to live and stuff. But you don't know who you're going to meet, and you can, and sure, there could be pain in the butt too. But
Oh yes.
yeah.
Let's not
But then
name
there's the
names, but
stories. No, but it's still an experience you never know. Um, yeah, it's
there's
a
an
great,
incredible amount of value in that community
yeah,
that you travel with. It makes for just about anything that you do. It's not just the
yeah,
person that is makes you safe, which is already. It's not the person you just go for dinner, which is already there, etc., etc. It's just a compounding effect of the experience that you live with that person and the way that we see something together and we create that memory together and the excitement of both of
yeah.
us becomes a thing, right? And I especially value that. I after about 14 months uh, traveling with 3 or more years, I started doing it on my own.
Hmm.
There's a lot of the stressing thing that I now remember is like, wow, that was good about remote year or whichever other company. It's like there's a lot of logistic that is already prepared for that. Now I have to do it. Right? I have to buy tickets. I have the worst record buying tickets. I have lost so much money. I have been so much stress because
Really.
I always make a mistake. Nowadays it's really stressful because I have to triple and quadruple check every little detail. Because like I have made so many mistakes. Now it's horrible.
What are some things that you find are common mistakes people make that they're not aware of that could keep them safe that they don't do when it comes to their tech use? And if it coincides with the travel. Some like example is when you have a data plan and you have enough data plan, but you still use the free Wi-Fi that's available at the airport, for instance. It's not always the best practice because that's very easy, like that's more easy for hackers and things like that. It's not always good to do the free Wi-Fi that's available. And a lot of people
Yes.
will do that.
When I worked for a company that did online advertising, And around that time, we had the first scandal for it was the NSA, and it was what's his name, the Edward the guy was a
Snowden?
whistleblower for Snowden, yes. And there was the whole scandal about around Snowden and the NSA, whatever they were doing, and there was a lot of things coming out of there. And I remember someone in that company saying, "To say, what do they think we're doing? Like we've been doing this for decades already." the, so the people that I'm most scared of is actually the advertisers, because that is from then on starts a whole discussion about privacy, and that's I am more scared of them than the NSA or, or any government to that extent,
Good point.
because that is the first thing that's gonna be you're gonna be faced with, and you're gonna face it every day, every second that you have a device on around you. That's the thing that is gonna be a leaking of your privacy, of your information, of your decision. You can be just completely be manipulated, targeted by all of this, and be make decisions that are made for you in terms of what you buy, what you think, what you. There's a lot of that, and so the first thing that I do in any computer is I install everything that can block any advertiser and any trackers that I can find, and then I put a VPN in my computer and in my phone always. People
Okay.
usually, if you have a job in tech and you're traveling, you usually have a VPN, right? But not everyone has a VPN in their phones, and that's very important because of what you just said. I can go to any public Wi-Fi and then be conscious that my data is being handled privately and encrypted and all of that. But just all of that has to be taken with a grain of salt, because whatever I do, I'm not an expert in security. That's the thing. Whatever I do, and I do a lot, I do know that it's not 100% enough. It is possible to hack everything at any time.
Right.
You're just trying to delay that. You're just trying to make the bad guy thinking it is. I have to spend so much time doing this, and this guy's actually broke. He doesn't have anything
Yeah, yeah.
that I can profit with, right? So that is actually what you're trying to do. You're trying to prove to that person that is not worth attacking me, right? But then you do have to make some measures in that. The VPN in your phone is actually very important because you can go then through any Wi-Fi that you want, and you still have that confidence to just open your bank account. And it's very difficult to think that somebody's going to get into that, right? Once you have that defense, then you can start using a lot of stuff that are there. The second wall of defense, you might call it, is when the product is free, you are the product. That's a
Hmm.
common saying in internet, right? Whatever you're using for free,
You are.
you are becoming the product of that company. That might be good in some for some products that maybe you don't care a lot. We are passionate lovers of films.
Hmm.
Yeah, IMDb, Letterboxd, and there's people like that that probably doing a lot with our data. Do I care that much that they know what's my favorite films or my list of favorite films? Probably not that much. So I can then go with a free service for that. I use an app, for instance, that tracks where I go because I like to
Hmm.
have my itineraries. Everywhere that I go, every place that I've been to helps me a lot. Tracking personal information, money spent for the videos and stuff that we put out there in social media, etc. So that is a fantastic tool for me. I specifically buy for that application because I want that company to make money out of my money, not out of me, right? So that kind of
Hmm.
depending of the application that I use of the data that I use, I choose to pay for it for those specific reasons, right? I want to feel safe that they are not necessarily using my data as a source of income, right? So that would be a very important thing for me. So I need to choose exactly what to pay and what not to pay when it comes to software
Got
out
it.
there. And then and that thing is more difficult to translate or to move to someone else. I grew up in Venezuela. That
Hmm.
we learn a lot about being safe. in most places. So you can ask any Venezuelan, or by extension, probably any Latin American or any African. Uh, we always, pretty much always know who's on the street walking around, where are the dark places, where are the corners that you don't see on the other side. You do it unconsciously already. Being aware of my surroundings is something that you learn when you grow up in a place like Venezuela, and it's the most important skill that I get to navigate difficult places. Um, just look what you do with your phone. We tend to leave, just keep looking at the phone. We just
Yeah.
at the phone, and we're on a conversation and anything or anywhere that we are, just keep the phone up. Uh, when I'm in a difficult place, that the phone, first of all, never leaves my pocket, right? But also the same um, reflex of looking at my phone is what I do. I'm talking to you, and I just go in like the constant reflex of just looking back and looking
Yeah.
around and looking around. And the moment someone comes towards me, so the first thing that I do is like, "Where's your partner?"
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm.
I don't know you and you're approaching me, it's like there's someone behind me that's gonna that kind of thing. Um, there is one simple trick actually that I it's the easiest trick that I do whenever I'm in a situation that I don't like or something smells funny to me. The first thing I do is look for a store. Well, of course, this doesn't work if you're in the middle of nowhere or in the worst favela. But even in a favela, you just might jump into a little corner store, right? When something smells funny to me, it's just walking to the first store. If it's a troop of thieves, they might go into the store and whatever. But if it's just a pickpocket thing, or even more dangerous, you go into the store and you're going to reduce your chances of being in danger, right? So that's the easiest thing that I do, and I do it often. I work in a place that I don't know. Something smells funny. I go into a store, try to look around. What happened? What was I looking? Why I want to see my phone, for instance. I want to text
Mm-hmm.
send a message, or is my phone is vibrating or something. I look for a store, get in, looking outside, not looking inside or on my back to the street, just looking from inside, and I use my phone there, put it in my pocket again, and keep walking. That's the easiest thing that you can do.
Why in the store is it less likely that you be targeted?
They crave from either a person alone or a person in a kind of anonymous crowd, right? If you're going to pick, steal your wallet or something quick, they might just snatch it and run. And if you're in an empty street, it's very easy. Or
That's
you
true.
just they just pick it and you don't know, and in a crowd. You're kind of anonymous in that crowd, or trying to
But in the
scream in that place
store,
is like it's going to be very difficult. You're going to a store and you're going like in a kind of a neutral zone. You reduce your
that's true.
your movements and the movement of someone that might be targeting you, right? And then you have other people there that might not help you, but they have access to a
It's
phone. Maybe they can just
it.
kneel down. There's probably,
Yeah,
if it's a difficult or dangerous place, they probably have a security guard that might not be inclined to help you, but probably has a gun, and the other person might think, oh yeah, there's a
it's
person with
not
a gun
worth it.
there, right? So
It
you
goes back
just
to that
yes,
VPN or like that
yes.
door. Like you're like, it's not worth it. I'm not gonna
it's
deal with
it's
that.
a matter of reducing that, so it's not worth for that person yeah,
Yeah,
to follow you. Something like that. That is the simple thing that I do. I look around all the time. I see if it has night, where are the lights, and I try to get in stores when something happens. Before getting to the city, I do a lot of research. As I said, the wiki voyage gives you kind of opinions and ratings of the areas of the city. So I map my places. ChatGPT nowadays gets that information from so many sources that you can actually go, it's like, where should I go? Where am I safe? And I actually use a reality filter. I can pass you that later, where I just put the conditions for ChatGPT to tell me, just give me verifying information, sources that you can actually quote and give me so I can actually check if I want to. And do not infer things, do not, conclude things out of the blue, because
hmm
it's a blind machine somehow. So I give it a reality filter kind of conditions, and then I can get some more trust into the information. Or if I don't trust it completely, I get the source and I can go there. Then with that reality filter, I can ask, where is safe? And
yeah.
where is safe? Why? And where is unsafe? Why? What are the limits that I can do, right? There are some places that are very unsafe during the night, but
Yeah,
are regularly safe during the day. So I can restrict into my traveling to those places, for instance. Um, the way that you dress, it's very
very true.
important. I'm lucky that I speak Spanish and I look Latin American, so I can navigate all of Latin America. And I dress down. I don't wear anything that might be visible, and I
Right.
just walk as if I'm going to a place. Someone is waiting for me. I'm going late for my job. Do not stare. Do not. So I have to navigate the whole thing and try to look, but it's just walking a steady pace, like I know what this is and I know where I'm going, right? That gives automatically reduces your chances,
Yeah.
right? In other places like we were in Africa, there's no way to to limit
But
to
I wanted to share the example of like, especially when you're with another person. Remember when you and I went to a bazaar in Dakar, Senegal, and I went and I had already discussed this with a couple of the local women, and I was like, it's safe in Dakar. And I felt the safest out of everywhere. Looking back, I was like, Dakar was pretty safe. But just in general, it's always better to be safe than sorry. And I was like, if I was it's always best to say, if they say if you're married or not, you say you're yes, you're married. And they're like,
yeah,
yeah, it's always a good say. So you and I went by ourselves at one point to a bazaar. You really wanted to go see it, take some photos and all that
yeah,
stuff. So, and I said in Spanish, I'm like, tú estás mi esposo. You are my husband. And you're like, sí,
yeah. I
okay.
remember.
Right? Because I think it helped for me as a woman. And there's ways that I have been like mistaken for some Latino descent, but for them, a Muslim country, oftentimes they thought I was of Middle Eastern, which I am, but they think I'm Muslim, which I'm not, but that's okay. It it protected me. For the male, I thought it could help them because if they wanted to try and sell you something, like, is this your wife? You're like, yes. So like, well, then you got to go talk to your wife to decide if you're going to buy this or not. So it's a pain, right? So it works in both levels.
Mhm.
And
And
then
there's safety in numbers.
and
At
it's the
least
safety
one other
numbers.
person is safer, makes it safer. Yeah.
Then when we met up with another friend of ours, David, at one point, I think you went kind of walking, and a man, I remember his name, Abraham, came and was trying to give us bracelets. And David was
Who
with
is that?
me. And David wanted me to take a photo of him. This touristy trap nonsense. I still give him shit for it. Um, and Abraham goes, is this your husband? David now. And I said, yes. And David goes, no. And I'm like,
Oh God.
David, you wish, first of all. um, and then Abraham goes, this is a gift. And I was like, oh, no, that's okay,
This is a
Abraham.
gift.
I don't want many. My father would strike me down, but I have medical bills. And I'm like, uh-huh. God damn you, David. Like, and I had to like talk to, he's like, he wanted the money with the bird on it. And I realized he wanted basically the equivalent of $20 versus I was going to give him like $1 to $5. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, Abraham, I need the money with the bird on it. I was like, no, no, it's okay. He's like, the bracelet's a gift, but I have medical bills. And I was like, if David could just get his shit together, don't take a touristy trap photo of, clearly these guys are trained to know who's a tourist. And
Yeah.
then two,
They're very good
safety
at
in
it.
numbers, just say yes, that we're, together, safety numbers and all that stuff. And then I was like, where's Jesus? Where's my husband? ¿Dónde está mi esposo? And all that stuff. But it's like, that was a clear example. Now, of course, it was daytime. Dakar's safe. Like,
It's
you don't
relatively
feel
safe, yes.
dangerous, like they're not going to attack us, and that stuff like that. But it was just it was like a great example. It was like, You owe me $5, buddy. So, but
It
yeah.
is really important to do your research, to do your
Yeah.
homework before you go to the city. There are many sources nowadays where you can get information. Your country's safety levels per country and per city. There's a lot of information out there. As I said, ChatGPT or Wikivoyage has a lot of information about it. It is very good. And when you talk, actually, there are ways to contact a local beforehand, right? There's all these chat for languages exchange
Yeah.
or virtual coffee places or outright paying someone if you have to. If you're going to read, if you have to go to Congo, you better talk to a lot of people, for instance, right?
Yeah.
It's not the same as going to Japan. And so it is very important to do that homework. And when you talk to a local, it's when you ask, "Is this safe?" It's very important to ask, "Yeah, that place is safe. What is it safety for you? What does it mean to be safe for you?"
Yeah, it's like put your ego aside, trust that gut or trust the locals when they say take a cab. I've heard several examples, even in Cape Town and all that stuff. They're like, it's a cab, even though it's across the street, where they're like, trust us. Usually it's like even a business meeting, especially when it's a business meeting, because they know that they came for business. They mean
Yeah.
some sort of money. So they
But
target
that
them.
when you the ego part that you mentioned, that brings me actually to a broader subject and some of the most important that I have while traveling. Um, it has helped me a lot to um, to try to get more comfortable putting my ego apart. I have to be constantly in a learning mode. Um, I am here now in Berlin, in Germany. I have been here before. I have been in Europe many times, but I cannot just go through the streets and navigate the place thinking, "Oh, I know this place." No, I don't. I have not been here, and even if I have been that long, it is very worth it to just go at it like you just don't know. Try to show me every day, trying to show me something new. And just so that conversation with the local of do not go that there or take a cab here, if you're in that mindset of I don't know, I better trust the things that are around me are the people that I know in that place. Like, of course, it helps you put your ego apart, but it also puts you in learning mode. That's how you learn what the city is about, the people that you get there, about the lives of the people that you get there. It's very important to just when I try
Yeah.
to I meet people, it's like, who are you? What do you do? What is happiness for you? What is a struggle for you? What's how is your family? Uh, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many questions that we made so many tours and stuff like that. And I don't know if you remember that. I go, although I appreciate very much the community, I just go to the tour guide or the person or the driver or whatever is like, who are you?
Yeah, yeah.
Talk to me. Yeah. I have questions. Just tell me about yourself. You learn a lot. And that that can actually be used for safety reason, for cultural reasons. To travel and you learn from the place. We don't get to re lifetime there, but you can learn a lot in especially when you have enough time not to think about just the sightseeing or the
Yeah.
places and the monuments and stuff. Like if you have a little bit more time, it's like yeah, I'm gonna do all that, but I wouldn't just go to a park and see that. I just want to go to a street, a dangerous place, for instance. It's just from the inside of a store. Let me look at it, for instance, and then I
Yeah.
take a cab and run from there. That can be an experience, but you have to be constantly learning more. I do not know what is in front of me. How do I ask it what it is? Right?
Mhm. Great advice, Jesus. Thank you. So I wanted to end quickly because I've taken a lot of your time. I appreciate it.
It's
Um,
been fun. It's
eh,
always fun talking to you and talking about sunsets and stories.
mhm. Um, it's the lightning round, which I'm always working on. Okay, what is your best or
What am I gonna
go?
get? Chocolate? I get a chocolate after this?
You get to go to sleep. What is in your travel bag?
And that's a good question. I usually travel with a little hoodie.
Uh-huh.
You don't know when you're going to be cold on a plane or not, or in a bus
That's
or
a good
stuff.
point.
So and I have is a hoodie that is a very good material that really insulates and it's very small, so I can actually fold it, and it just goes in a pack like
Uh,
this. So it's a very small thing that I can put in my backpack, and it occupies the space, but it's just a lot less than anywhere. I keep minimum cables. I keep at least a converter to
that's
for
good.
any plant, and then one or two cables for the that are try to be as useful for any devices that I have, and then a plug that might be my regular plug, which is American plug, but nevertheless with a converter I can then multiply whatever I'm using. Um, I have always have a pencil, always has a pen or a pencil,
That's
because
good.
every time that you cross the border, you're gonna have to write something, and then you see people on the buses and in the planes like, "Do you have a pen?" Do you have a pen? It's like
Yeah, that's
always keep a
true.
pen there. Yeah. So
I do
I
have that.
actually now added some other pens there, but nevertheless, at least one pencil there. I have um, I have a little box with the SIM cards that I used. So I have the SIM card from Canada or the SIM card from Costa Rica, where
Oh,
I spend a lot of time. I don't know. Maybe at some point it's going to be in an emergency. I put the SIM card, charge me for the roaming, but I need something quickly, right? Something like that, because I keep moving from regular regional or local SIM cards or eSIMs that I buy on internet, right? Um, that is the thing. This is the best thing I've ever bought in my life, especially for me that I'm really afraid of flying. Um, I've taken 16 flights this month and this year, and I'm terrified of flying. Last year was 13, and last year were 25. The year that we met, I took
yeah.
25 flights, and I hate flying.
God.
So this thing is very important to me because I can just fill up my laptop, my
It's
tablet
like
or my
noise
phone with,
canceling headphones.
yes, it's not constantly. And then I do the thing that worked the best for me is just having like a dumb, medium interesting movie. Something with a lot of shots and a lot of action. Somebody puts me in the tablet and makes me somewhat forget what I'm doing. So this is extremely important to me, the headphones. I usually go with a smaller headphones just in case.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, I have,
I have
well, I have
other
my other
questions,
glasses.
Jesus.
That's also my hands the glasses. And no, but I go to the something for the stomach, whatever medicine you trust for your stomach, for heartburn or
That's true.
the
You always had that. Yeah.
indigestion or something like that. I always keep those pills there. And the thing for the neck, what do you call it?
Like a neck pillow.
A neck pillow. I actually have it here, and it's not a regular pillow. This is a fantastic thing. Just to look at this.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, it's not a regular thing. It just wraps you around like a little
Hmm,
organic animal. It's fantastic. This is the best thing. I say. That's my backpack, I think. Yeah.
that's cool. Um, the folded hoodie, do you know the brand?
It's Roots, the
Oh,
Canadian
Roots.
brand. Roots.
Okay.
Yes. It's very thin and very warm. I used it last time I was in the mountains in Chile, and it was snowy, and my family was in full winter gear, and I only had that, and it was
And you
good
were good.
enough. Of course, I'm Canadian, right? So
Yeah,
winter is
you got it.
different. Yeah.
Um, okay. So, what is the most overrated place, or to be nicer, you've been there, you don't need to go there again?
I've been in a lot of places like that, but overrated. I was actually having this conversation with someone recently. Most um, places or things you have to do before you die, kind of thing.
Yeah,
They're mostly overrated nowadays. Or
that's a
when
good
you
point.
get there, it's extremely so popular that it has become a plastic scene. It has become a Disneyland, very fake kind of thing.
Yeah,
Being flexible is the most important thing that I have.
that's
Uh,
good.
besides my passport and my laptop nowadays, and you can learn to do that. You can actually learn to do that. Whenever you feel like you're getting mad at something, there's something you're not understanding. There's something that I do it a lot. It still happens a lot. Whenever I get very stressed or mad at something, it's like there's something I'm not seeing from this situation that either I think I know and it's not, or or something that I can really profit from that I'm not using it because just I'm in the shade of my anger or stress or whatever.
That's great advice. Thank you, Jesus. Yes. Till next time.